Hello, this is James Taylor, and write your own story. Firstly, welcome to this podcast. I'm a hypnotherapist, a counsellor, and a life coach, and the aim of this podcast is to give you some tips, tricks, and tools so you can start to evolve and change and become a better version of who you are naturally, whilst letting go of some of the things that have been holding you back. So I really do hope you enjoy this podcast. Feel free to like and subscribe, and let's get on with it. For those who are regular listeners on my podcast, you'll know that a background of mine, I used to be in the police. I was in the police for 23 years. But when I was quite new and shiny in the police, I had to go to court for a particular reason. There was an application being made and I didn't really know what to do because I was brand new. So I got to court, and when I was outside the courtroom, I was speaking to the barrister who was in charge of this aspect of the case, this small section. And I knew that this application was going to be made, and I genuinely can't remember what it was for, but I'd never come across it before. So I said to the barrister, I'm quite new in the police and I don't really know what's expected of me. Do you know what the process is? And the barrister said, I don't really know the process myself, but when we do go into court, come in with me, sit directly behind me. If the judge asks for this particular thing to be done, what I'll do, I'll ask the judge to explain it in detail so you know. Is that okay? I said, yeah, that'll be great, thanks very much. So we're waiting around, and eventually the case gets called on, we go into court. I'm sitting directly behind the barrister. So sure enough, the judge asks for this particular thing to be done and says, is there any questions, or is everything clear to you? The barrister stands up and says, Your Honour, I will spare the officer's blushes who sits directly behind me, but he doesn't know how to do that. Can you explain it to him, please? Really condescending. I was sitting there, I was furious. So the barrister sat down, looked at me, big smarmy grin on his face. And the judge was really kind, and the judge says, all right, okay, officer, what you need to do is do this, and I was jotting down notes furiously. And he said, they're the steps that need to be done, and have you got any questions? Do you understand? So I stood up, and I said, no, Your Honour, you've made that really clear to me, thanks very much. I asked the barrister outside how to do it, and he didn't know either, so I'm glad you've explained it. I sat back down. So we get outside, and the barrister turns on me and says, how dare you try and professionally embarrass me? And I said, how dare you try and professionally embarrass me? There's no problem with saying I don't know how to do something. Only an idiot is going to pretend they know how to do something when they don't. I didn't know, and neither did you. So the barrister got quite upset at this, turned round on his heel, and went flapping off down the corridor with his gown trailing behind him. So, why am I telling this particular story for this podcast? Is there something that you want to do, but you don't know how to do it? So when that happens to me, what I do, I go to someone who does know how to do it, and either get them to tell me, or give them the task and ask them to sort it out in their own time. So when I first started making these podcasts, I didn't know what to do. So I started doing some research. I started looking on YouTube. I started following a few videos. I started reading up on how to do it. And I've done it a few times now. And now it's not such a big deal. I pretty much know what I'm doing. I know how to record them, how to edit them, how to publish them. But if there's something that you want to do, but you don't know how to do it, don't let it stop you. Don't let that stop you in your tracks just because you don't know. There's no shame in not knowing. Now, if your car was broken and you didn't know what to do, you wouldn't think twice about putting it in the garage. Or if the electricity went in your house and you didn't know what to do, you wouldn't think twice about getting an electrician in. What about if you had a leak in the kitchen and you didn't know what to do? You just call a plumber out and you wouldn't think twice about it. Well, I would say you're more important than all of those things. You're more important than a car, or the kitchen, or the electrics in your home. So if there's something that you want to do, but you don't know how to do it, Just ask. Now, that might be something regarding your mental health. If there's something you want to do, but you don't know how to do it, you don't have to tolerate it. You don't have to keep on putting up with it again and again and again. And perhaps some of the listeners on this channel will have been doing that for a very, very long time. If you can identify with that and you are just sick and tired of being sick and tired and you want to get help, I'll put a link in the show notes. And if you want to have a free consultation with me, click on the link, fill in the details, and we'll have a chat and see whether we're a good fit. But the message for this one is, if you don't know, don't be afraid to ask. Do not be like the ignorant barrister. So I really hope this has helped in some way. I also hope it has inspired you in some way too. Feel free to like, share and subscribe to this podcast. Tell your friends about it. They may get some benefit from it as well. I really hope to see you on the next podcast episode. So for the time being, this is James Taylor from Write Your Own Story. And as always, my best wishes. Bye bye.